and welcome to datingwebsites.org. My name is Kat Richter, and today I'll be answering a question from one of our bloggers, Amy. Amy asks, how long should you talk online or on the phone before meeting in person? Well, Amy, my response to this is simple: as little as possible. Online dating is actually a bit of a misnomer. You shouldn't be dating online. You should just be meeting online and then getting out into the real world. I always advise my clients to get offline and into the real world as quickly as possible, and there are two reasons for this. The first has to do with practical matters. The more you talk before your first date, the less you're going to have to talk about on your first date. So you don't want to run through all of your icebreaker material before you've actually met. Obviously, as you get to know someone, you will discover new topics of conversation, but you don't want to run through everything before you've actually met in person on that first date. The second is a bit more important and a bit more tricky. It has to do with emotional investment. So the more that we correspond with someone, be it via text, email, instant messaging, over the phone, whatever the case may be, the more emotionally invested we become in that person and the more connected we feel to them, even if we still haven't met. And this can lead to a false sense of intimacy, which can be extremely problematic if and when you do finally meet in the real world. And unfortunately, I am speaking from personal experience in this case. I met a man on Match.com, and we corresponded for a good 6 months before we finally met in person. And because I had already felt like I had invested so much time and energy into us, I was really, very hopeful for what our relationship might be, and I ignored a lot of the red flags. And our first date was a real roller coaster of emotions for me, but I kept feeling like, if only I try harder, things will work out. And because we had already been so committed to the idea of having a relationship, I ended up fooling myself and became part of an emotionally abusive relationship and allowed myself to continue in it for several months because I had already felt like, I just need to keep trying, and we were already invested so much in this. So not that I'm saying that's necessarily going to happen every time you correspond with someone for a while before you meet them, but it can happen. So just be careful with that. A lot of times if someone is reluctant to meet in the real world, it's because they're hiding something. Maybe they're already married, or they look nothing like their profile picture, or they lied about something and they don't want you to find out. So either way, they're being dishonest, and that's really not a good foundation for any relationship. So again, that's not always the case, but if you are finding that someone is reluctant to meet in the real world, that is a bit of a red flag. So just take a moment and see if you can figure out what's really going on. That said, obviously you do want to have some communication before you meet. Again, you're online dating. There are a lot of, different safety factors that you need to take into account. You need to determine, is this person actually single? Are they who they say they are? And even though you can never be 100% sure just from talking to someone, you can certainly rule out some of the more obvious issues that a person might have who you've met online. So go ahead and talk, get to know them, but try to get your relationship offline and into the real world as quickly as possible. All right, good luck, Amy, and happy dating.